Charity, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks, Brett.
What an awesome name, Charity. And it's so nice to have you here. It looks like the sun is shining. Where are you talking to us from today?
I'm in West Virginia, so I'm not far from you, I don't think.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
West Virginia. What a beautiful state. The mountains, it is just gorgeous. So are you somewhere in the mountains?
Yeah, but it's pretty hilly here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, let's start by letting the listeners know just a little bit about Charity Hicks. Where did you start professionally and where are you at now?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Iowa, so I did my medical school in Iowa, but ended up doing my ophthalmology residency in West Virginia and kind of ended up staying.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so I was in practice for a little over 18 years in ophthalmology, and then in June of 2022, I left clinical practice and decided to explore something new. And so currently I'm coaching and helping introverts in healthcare around issues of burnout and kind of questioning like, should I stay, should I go, and exploring those kind of topics. Well, it's really interesting because I think the earliest signs of burnout often masquerade as ambition.
Hmm.
And so people are like pushing and just doing everything. And then when you start getting further into burnout, it's the irritability, it's the fatigue, it's maybe not showing up the way you want, feeling less effective in your role. Um, and it is one of those things where with what I loved about coming on your show is, I think about a lot of people get focused in their identity of only being identifying with their career, and it's so important to like feed your whole self. And so that's where I love like we meet physicians that are doing real estate. Maybe there's physicians doing artistry, like there's painting, writing, like there's so many things like, and if you feed that I think helps guard against burnout. And so I just love that aspect of being like a lifelong learner and exploring everything that's out there. Medicine is really cool and there's a lot we can do there, but it's not the only thing. Yeah, I think that is just honoring who you are and not trying to show up and be someone else. I think a lot of introverts do spend a lot of time walking around trying to extrovert and trying to show up with a lot more energy than maybe they have. So just recognizing like the creating space for yourself. If you know things are going to be busy, creating little buffers of, with activities that are energizing to you. It's just these little subtle things of just really showing up and honoring like, oh, when I feel my battery is going down, like let's pay attention to it instead of pushing forward, which is a lot of what we're taught in medicine. It's all about getting curious and exploring. Because again, if you're not curious, you can only know what you know. And especially, and I know you've mentioned this on other podcasts, but it's a lot about who you are around. And so if you're around people who maybe have an entrepreneurial interest, or they are seeking other opportunities outside of medicine, it seems it's more normalized, right? But if you are just around people that are like, yeah, I'm going to be in medicine until I'm 70 and that's it, and whatever comes and that's what I'm taking, it is difficult to kind of pop out of that box. So yeah, giving yourself permission to explore other things. It doesn't when it comes to the guilt piece, I think people do experience that, and there's a loss of identity. I mean, just because you're exploring other things outside of medicine also does not mean you have to give up medicine in totality. But it is, and I think COVID taught us this. A lot of people probably thought that medicine would be, recession proof, or like there would never be a time when medicine slowed down. You always need medicine, right? And COVID taught us that, yeah, even that isn't a fail-proof 100% source of income in all situations. And so by diversifying and exploring other opportunities, that also gives you, and I know you talk a lot about financial freedom, a way to move toward that. Well, I think everyone's different. Some people might find going out and running is energizing to them. Like physical activity can be energizing. Other people want solitude and calm. And so it's really about tuning in to what you need. And so I don't have a blanket statement for that, but again, it's paying attention. You know, when you can tell that those days that you're dragging, like you can tell, like even when you're in conversation with someone, like, right, like sometimes you're like, oh, this conversation's going great and it's fun and we can keep going, and then other times like, wow, we're having a difficult time in finding something to talk about. You can feel that in your body. And so it's like that with any activities. And so just paying attention to that, and then you know, having a list. I always talk about like having a menu of things that, you know, from relaxation to like energizing yourself physically, and then knowing what you need in the moment. Well, just even like small tasks, you know, that may be at work. Like I'm just thinking of physicians, you know, dealing with certain paperwork, or a lot of people in medicine tend to be perfectionistic and think like, oh, I'm the only one that can do this. But like learning to delegate, there are ways to start giving more time and attention to the things that move you forward, that give you energy, that bring value to your life, and look at the things that don't, and see if they really need to be there. If there's a way you can get rid of them, or if there's a way that you can, you know, get support around them so that they're not taking up so much time. Because there's a lot in medicine where I think, you know, that's what contributes to burnout. A lot of things that physicians are doing that they're like, wow, I didn't go into medicine to do this.
Yeah.
And so being able to focus on the thing that really matters to you and what's meaningful. And I know I sound like a broken record, but just that curiosity and exploring and always being open to new opportunities and seeing what's happening in the world. And then, you know, I think there is something about keeping the doors and the windows open, right? To not just focusing just on medicine. And probably some people will not like that I said that, but I just always think that we can feed ourselves in so many different ways, and having those interests, by having those interests outside of medicine, I think it actually makes you better inside of medicine. And I don't think that's just, you know, particular to medicine. I think there was a study or a paper that showed that Nobel laureates have, you know, those people have a higher percentage of having hobbies outside of their main focus and career. And just by, you know, because you never know, like there could be one thing that you learn over here in a different industry altogether, and it sparks an idea, and you take it over here and turn it into something new.